This is the place where we have stopped in our previous video. So let's continue from this place onwards. Now I click this particular link. Okay, so your first C# Windows form. In this video I'm going to talk about Windows Forms applications. In our previous video we have discussed about console applications. Okay, now let's see. From now on we are going to be creating Windows applications rather than console applications. Okay, Windows applications make use of something called a form. Okay, later let's see what is a form. The form is blank at first. You then add control to your form. Things like buttons, text boxes, menus, check boxes, radio buttons, etc. I hope you are familiar with buttons. Definitely you have used software applications, desktop applications. There you have found controls like buttons. We call them controls. Button control, text box control, then menu bars you have seen, then check boxes, radio buttons. Okay, so those things you have already used. That means as users you have used. To get your first look at Windows form, do the following. Then we move here. If you still have your console application open from the previous section, click File from the menu bar at the top of Visual C# Express. Visual C# Express actually here I am using Visual Studio Community Edition 2019 version. Okay, so you have to think it like that. From the file menu, click Close Solution. Okay, that's that one I have already shown you how to close your solution. Okay, then that part I have already shown you in my previous video. To create your first Windows form project, click the file menu again. Anyway, so first let's start Visual Studio IDE. Here you have to click create a new project, and now here Windows, from here you can select desktop applications, and here from here you can select Windows Forms app, and now we click next. Okay, if you have Visual Studio 2015 or 2017, click Visual C# under templates on the left. Here you have to select Visual C#. Okay, if you were using 2015 or 2017 version, and here you can, this is the name of our project. Okay, from the available templates, select Windows Forms application or Windows Forms app. Keep the name on the default of Windows Forms application 1 or Windows Forms app 1 for 2017 users. Now you can see there are slight differences. In 2015 version, here you can see Windows Forms application 1. When it comes to 2017 version, here you will see Windows Forms app. Okay, here app 1. Okay, so slight differences are there. Anyway, you have to cope with those slight differences. Okay, if you have Visual Studio 2019, that's what I am using in this video, you will see the create a new project dialog box again. Select C# as the language again. This time scroll down and select Windows Forms app. Okay, Now when you click OK, a new Windows application project will be created for you. In 2019 you will have another screen, configure your new project. You can leave everything on the default unless you need to change the save location, and just click create. Okay, then all users will get a new project. Now let's see here. Let's keep the default name. Okay, so here let's keep the default name. Okay, and here you can go to the folder we were working. Okay, so there we are going to save. Here let's say, okay, let's keep the default name. Actually you can give any name to your project, but for the time being let's keep it as it is. And then when you click create, now you can see a form here. Okay, and this is our solution explorer, as I have discussed in the previous video. And if you expand this, you can see here, you can see assembly info.cs file. Okay, in our console application we could not see that. Anyway, I have promised you to show that. Now here you can see assembly info.cs file, and this is the title of our project is here. You can change this if you wish. Okay, and copyright. Okay, likewise you can add any other information. You can edit the sections in red color. Okay, now you know, using the save all button you can save. Okay, now the obvious difference from the console application you created in the previous section is the blank form in the main window. Now you can see a blank form, unlike in console application. Okay, notice the toolbox though. On the left hand side we'll be adding controls from the toolbox to that blank form one. You can see in the image above. Okay, in this image, now you can see here we have something called toolbox. Okay, so you can shrink. Now there in the toolbox there are categories. Okay, categories, you can expand them like this. If you expand this, it will show you all the controls available in the toolbox. For an example, button control. Okay, then you can see here text box. Okay, then likewise you are familiar and you have used, as users you have used these controls. Now let's see how to plug those controls to your applications. Then In this way, this will show you all Windows forms, and commonly used ones only you can see using this one. Then containers from this, dialogues from this. Likewise, later one by one you will learn. Okay, so here you can close the toolbox if you wish, and if you want to get it back, you can go to view and click toolbox. Okay, and here you can hide it if you wish, and using this pin you can pin it to the environment. Okay, those are some things you should know. If you can't see the toolbox, you may just see the tab as the following image. Community 2015 and 2017 editions have an extra tab called Server Explorer. Okay, if your screen looks like the one above, move your mouse over to the toolbox tab. It will expand to look like in the first one. If you want to permanently display the toolbox, click on the pin symbol in the middle. This one I have already shown it to you how to pin this. Okay, now we have pinned this toolbox to our environment. Okay, now notice the Solution Explorer on the right side of your screen. If you can't see the Solution Explorer, click its entry on the view menu at the top of Visual Studio Express. Here, Visual Studio Community Edition. Okay, now Solution Explorer you can see here. If you close it, now if you want to get it back, you can go to view and then click Solution Explorer. Okay, if you compare it with the Solution Explorer, when you created your console application, you can see the similarities. This is the Solution Explorer you have seen when you created console application in our previous video. This is the current one in our Forms application. Now let's see. Both projects have sections for properties, references, and program.cs. Now you can see in both you can see properties. I'm not sure here you can yes, properties are there. We could see this one in our console application as well, and also program.cs file. This kind of a file was there in our console application as well. Okay, now references, we could see that one in our console application too. Program.cs file, double click the program.cs file to open it, and you will see some familiar code. This one, let's open this. Now in our console application you could see this line, no? You could see this line, and in addition to that we have some other lines as well, and here we had console app 1 like that. Okay, anyway, here we have the name of our project, and now inside the program class you have main method. Now I have told you that execution begins from the very first line of the main method, then it comes to the second line, third line, and so on. It executes all the lines of code inside the main method. Now here you can see some of the code, 3 lines of code have already been generated automatically for you. So now now let's see. And here is the code from console application. This is what we have seen in our previous video. Okay, both have the same using lines, namespace, a class called program, and main method. Okay, so the main method is the entry point for your program. The code between the curly brackets of main will get executed when the program first starts. The code between the curly brackets of main will get executed when the program first starts. That means once we have developed the application, and when we start the application, it will execute the first line of code in our main method, then the second line of code, then the third line of code. Likewise, these lines will be executed. Okay, so the last line in the Windows Windows application 1 code above is the one that runs form 1 when application starts. Now you can see this particular line of code. Okay, this actually runs the form, starts the form in our application. Later you will see. You can do other things here. For example, suppose you had a program that connects to a server. If it finds a connection, then it loads some information from a database. Okay, some things like that also you can do. That means when your application starts, if your application needs to connect with a particular server, you can write the relevant code inside our main method. Okay, in the main method you could check that the server connection is okay. If it's not, display a second form. If it's okay, then display the first form, and likewise you can program. Later we will see how we can do those things. But don't worry if all that code has you is scratching your head. The thing to bear in mind here is that a method called main starts your program. The thing to bear in mind is that a method called main, the main method starts your program. Okay, that's what you should know. And program.cs in the Solution Explorer on the right side is where the code for main lives. Okay, the main method is inside our program.cs file. But we won't be writing code in the program.cs file. So since this is a forms application, in this particular video we are not going to write anything or we are not going to edit anything in program.cs file for the time being, so we can close it. Okay, so let's close this. Okay, in this video we are not going to use program.cs file. Click the X button, this one, to close the tab. You should now see your form again. You may have a start tab as well. You can close this if you want. Okay, here in other versions you have a start tab as well. That's what they are mentioning here, but here we don't see that, so don't worry about that. Okay, don't worry about this part. Okay, to see the window where you will write most of your code, right click form1.cs in the Solution Explorer. Okay, so here if you right click this, now there are two things: view code, view designer. That means now we have a form here. Okay, this is the design view of our form, designer. Okay, if you click this, you will see this one. This is the designer. Now the same form we can view the code of the form. If you click this, this is the code of the form, and form1.cs, this is the form1.cs file, and this is the same file in its design view. Okay, so the in this way we can view it. Okay, so now it says the menu has options for view code and view designer. The designer is the form you can see at the moment. Click view code from the menu to see the following window appear. You can also press F7 key on your keyboard. Okay, so keyboard shortcut is also there. You can check it if you need. Now this is the code for the form itself. Ignore form1 underscore load lines as you may not have them. Okay, this part we do not see, so you do not have to worry. Okay, later we will discuss the meanings of these codes. Here we see only these things, so you do not have to worry. Okay, that's why they say here. Okay, this form, the code has a lot more using statements than before. Don't worry about these for now. They just mean using some code that's already been written. Okay, so the meanings of these using means we are importing some already available inbuilt code to our program. Okay, that's what we do with this using keyword. The code also says partial class form1. It's partial because some code is hidden from you. Okay, this is a partial class. That is, partial is a keyword actually. For the time being you should understand that it says some of the code of the class is hidden from you. That's why we say it's a partial class for the time being. In that way you can think. Now double click form1.designer.cs. You will see the following code. This one, if you double click this, you will see this particular code. Okay, this is our form1.designer.cs file. Okay, later you can learn about this file in detail. Again you see partial class form1, which is the rest of the code. Okay, so here we can see partial class form1 here as well, and here also partial class form1. Here also you can see partial class form1. Okay, so the rest of the part in our partial class is here. Okay, then initialize component is called a method that is automatically generated for you when you create a new Windows application project. As you add things like buttons and text boxes to your form, more code will be added here for you. Okay, more code will be added here for you. Here you have initialize component. Here you cannot see that because due to the version differences of our IDE. Anyway, don't worry. Okay. That's just due to the version differences of our IDE, so you do not have to worry about that. Anyway, we can continue without any problem. Initialize component is code that is automatically generated for you when you create a new Windows application project. As you add things like buttons and text boxes to your form, more code will be added here for you. That means when you add buttons or any other buttons, text boxes, list boxes, radio buttons, check boxes, likewise, as you add controls to the form, then here also you will see that the code is automatically written by the IDE. Okay, later you will see these things, you will be able to observe these things, but you don't need to do anything in this window. So you can right click the form1.designer.cs tab at the top and click close from the menu, or just click capital X, okay, close symbol. Okay, so this one you can close. Okay, click back on the form1.cs tab at the top to see you form again. If the tab is not there, right click form1.cs in the solution explorer on the right. From the menu, select view designer. Here is what you should be looking at. Okay, anyway, now if you close these two, if you go to here, view code will appear. If you right click this and then if you click view designer, this will appear. Okay, code of our form and the design view of our form. It's in designer view that we'll be adding things like buttons and text boxes to our form, but you can run this program as it is. From the debug menu at the top, click start debugging, or you can just press F5 key on your keyboard. Here you can see you save, click save all, then you go to debug and start debugging. It takes some time since it is the first time. So this is your application at okay, this is your application. It is still an empty form. Okay, it is still an empty form. Actually, now I will show you. Let's look at Notepad available in Windows operating system. Actually, now you can see this one is also just a form. Okay, this is also just a form. Okay, now here we have a menu bar. Okay, likewise, so the Notepad software application has also been built on top of a form. Okay, so when you proceed with these practical sessions, you will be able to develop an application similar to the Notepad. Okay, so that is one particular thing. You can do many things, because we will be discussing databases as well. So you will be able to do very nice things when you continue with these practicals. Okay, so this is just one particular example that you will be able to do at the end of this course. Okay, so now it's running, so you can again go to debug and stop debugging. Now you can come back to here. Okay, when you click start debugging, Visual C Sharp will build the program first and then run it if it can if it can't if it can. Okay, if it can't run your program, you will see error messages. Okay, so if there were any mistake, you would see some messages, but you should see your first form running on top of Visual Studio. It will have its own red X and its own minimize and maximize buttons. Click the red X to close your program and return to the Visual C Sharp Express. Here Visual Studio Community Edition. Now again, if you go to debug and start debugging, this what we have these three buttons. So if you close this, again it comes back to the normal state. We were debugging our application, now it's in the normal state. Okay, from now on, when we say run your program, this is what we mean. Either press F5 or click debug, start debugging. Okay, so run your program means simply you go to debug and click start debugging. That's what we mean by running from this point onwards. You can also select debug start without debugging. Then now you have the problem, what is debug? What is the term debug? Debug means, actually bug means a problem, an error or something like that. Debugging means fixing that error. Okay, so that is the actual meaning, but for the time being, just say if you want to run your program, you simply go to debug and then click start debugging. Okay, so for the time being, think it like that. Later we will be discussing deeply what is the idea of debugging. Okay, the concept of debugging later we will be discussing. Okay, time for you to start adding things to the form and to do a little coding. Okay, so then let's move to the next section. Adding controls to a blank C# form. The first thing we'll do is to add a button to the blank form. We'll then write a single line of code so that you can see how things work. If you want to add the control to a form, you can use the toolbox on the left of Visual Studio. Okay, toolbox is this one. I have already shown it to you. Move your mouse over to the toolbox and click the arrow symbol next to command controls. You should see the following list of things that you can add to your form. Okay, so now here, if you expand, let's shrink this. If you expand this one, you will see the commonly used controls. Okay, button, checkbox. You are familiar with these things. Text box. Okay, so radio button, combo box. Okay, those things You have already used when you work with computers, you have already come across with these controls. So here what we are going to learn is how to add such controls and how to program those controls in our application. That's what we are going to do. Okay. Click the button item under the command control heading. Controls heading. This will select it. Now click once anywhere on your form. A button will be drawn for you and your form will look like this. You can also hold down your left mouse button and drag out a button to the size you want. Okay, one thing is you can double click this now. Okay, you can move it while clicking the left while pressing the left mouse button. You can move it to a place you need. Okay, and also the size can be changed in this way. Now we have a button on our form. Okay, so anyway, let's run. Run means you have to debug and start debugging. Now when you click the button, nothing happens. Okay, when you click the button, nothing happens because we have not yet programmed the button. We have just added it. We have just added it to our form, but we have not yet programmed it. That's why nothing is going to happen when you click this button. Okay. A button is something you want people to click on. When they do, the code you write gets executed. Okay, a button is something you want people to click on. When they do, the code you write gets executed. The text on the button which defaults to button 1. This is the text. Button 1 is the text on our button. Can be changed, that we can change. Okay, later you will see. You can add anything you like here, but it should be something that's going to be useful to your users, such as open a text file, calculate now. Likewise, you have seen when you work with computers, on top of buttons different text are there. Okay, you have already seen them. Now we are going to display a simple message box when the button is clicked. That's what we are going to do. So we need to add some text to the button. You do this by changing something called a property. It's quite easy and you will see how to do it in the next part of this lesson. Now let's move to the next part. Properties of a C# control. Now what do you understand by controls? Controls means button is a control, text box is a control, checkbox is a control, radio button is a control. Likewise, there are many controls in our toolbox. Now we have added a button control to our form. Now for a button there are properties. For an example, properties means now with height and width of the button, then text on the button, those are properties, and the location of the button. color of the button. Those are the properties. Okay, so now let's see how we can change these properties. The controls you add to a form have something called properties. A property of a control is things like its height, okay, its width, its name, its text, and a whole lot more besides. To see what properties are available for a button, make sure the button is selected as in the image below. First, what you should do is now if you click on the form, now form is selected because these small squares are around our form. Now if you click the button, now button is selected because these small squares are around our button. Okay, that's what first you should do, because you are going to change the properties related to the button. Okay, if a control is selected, it will have white squares surrounding. White squares means these ones. Okay, if your button is not selected, simply click it once. Only once you have to select it, don't double click. Okay, now look in the bottom right of Visual C#, that means bottom right of our Visual Studio IDE. In our context, just below the Solution Explorer, you should see the Properties window. If it's not there, select it from View menu at the top. Okay, now here you will see Properties window. If you close this, you can go to View and then click Properties. Yes, where is it? Okay, where is it? Properties. It says View menu at the top. You have to find properties. So other windows under yes, I cannot see the properties window. Anyway, you can get it back. Okay, okay, then how can you solve this problem? Okay, we have come to a place where yes, properties window. Now let's Google. Window in Visual Studio 2019. Yes. So Microsoft sites are reliable, so I'm using this one. So choose properties from the View menu. So I cannot see that. That's the problem. in this ID sometimes it has been moved to somewhere else. Okay. Okay, then okay, it says select the item, then choose properties from the anyway. What has happened, so you have to Google and see how you can get the properties window back. Okay, we usually, yes, we can okay, so let's see. Okay, okay, so now if you want to get it back, you can get it back from here. Okay, properties, it says properties inside the Solution Explorer. You have, yes, so something crashed our program. Anyway, I will restart it. Okay, okay, now this is the place. Now if you close our properties window, then you can get it back by clicking this one. Sorry, Solution Explorer, no, not from here. Okay, anyway, so I cannot find way. One thing is, you can simply close this and then this is our project. Okay, so you can go here, and if you double click this, then it loads all the initial windows. Okay, so okay, yes, here you can see properties window. Okay, so last time if you go to view, Then if you click this, yes, I couldn't see last time. This is the properties window. Now you can see the properties window here. Okay, now if you click the button, now this window shows the properties related to the button. Okay, properties related to the button. Now it is something like this. To view the list of properties in alphabetical order, click A to Z symbol at the top circled in red in the image below. This one. Okay, that means now these are the properties. For an example, now you can see the name property of our button. That means here you can assign a name to our control. Actually, name property should be unique. If it is if there are several buttons, we should be able to identify the buttons uniquely. Okay, so that is why we have name property. Then another property I will show you, text property. That means button 1. That's what you see on top of the button. Okay, so those are the things. Then text align middle center. That's why text is in the middle of our button. So here you can change that property. Later you will see how we can change these properties. Anyway, now here if you click this one, you will see the properties in alphabetical order. So A, B, C, D, E, F, likewise in alphabetical order. Then you can see them easily. Now you know that if you want to find text property, then you know it should be somewhere here because they are in the alphabetical order. As you can see, there are a lot of properties for a button. Scroll down to the bottom and locate text property. Now you have to find the text property. The text property, as its name suggests, the text you want to appear on the button. At the moment it says button 1. Click inside of the text area of button 1. Delete the default text. Now type the following, a message. Okay, now you have to go, you have to select first, you have to select the button. Then you go to the text property. Here default text is button 1. That's what you see here. Now I change it to a message. Okay, and then I press enter. Now you can see our text here. Okay, that's how we can change the properties of the button. Now press the enter key on your keyboard. Have a look at your form and the text on the button should have changed. There is a few more properties we can change before we get to the code. Let size in the properties, locate size in the properties window. Now size of our button, width and height, that can be changed by the size property. Okay, the first number 75 is the width of the button. That one, width of the button. Okay, this height and width. Okay, width of the button, that is 75. 75 means 75 pixels. Okay, 75 pixels. Second number is 23, that is the height. The two numbers are separated by a comma. Change the numbers to 130. Let's see. Now you select, already button is selected. You go to the size property. Now here let's change according to this website. Let's change 130. 100, and that means width is 100, height is 30. You press enter. Now you can see the button like this. Okay, you save your work. Then You can move your button around the form by clicking it with the left mouse button to select it. Hold down your left mouse button and drag your button around the form. Let go of your left mouse button when you are happy with new location. Okay, that means if you want to move this, you get the mouse pointer here, then press the left mouse button and move it and put it in a preferred place. Okay, now let's see this exercise. You can also move a button by changing its location property. Use the properties window to change the location of your button to a position of the form 150. 100 means 100 units from the left edge of the form. 50 means 50 units from the top of the form. Now you see, if you now button is selected, therefore we go to the location property. Okay, then here if you put 100, that means 100 units from the left edge. Left edge of the form is this one. 100 units space will be there. 50 means 50 units down from the top of the form. Now let's see 150. Now you can see from left edge there are 100 pixels. From the top edge there are 50 pixels to the button. In that way we can use location property to locate button on our form. Okay, let's discuss this particular exercise. A form also has lots of properties. Click away from the button and on the form itself, the properties of the form will appear in the properties window. Change the text property of the form a first message. Okay, now let's select the form. So I click here. Now form is selected because these small squares are around our form. Now let's go to the text property, form 1. That is what you see in the title bar of the form. Okay, if you change this, let's change it to a first message. Okay, a first message. Then now you can see it here. So if you run this, okay, now you can see in the title bar a first message, here a message. Okay, then look at the exercise. The form, like the button, also has a size property. Change the size of the form to 300 200. Size, that means width and height. Width, let's go to the size property. Width is 818 pixels, height is 497 pixels. So now you can 300 200. That means 300 pixels of width will be there, 200 pixels of height will be there. Then I press enter. Now you can see 300 pixels width, 200 pixels height of our form. I save my work. Then after you complete the 3 exercises, your form should look like this. Okay, now anyway, now let's move. Okay, no, I undo my work. Okay, so now you can see this. Okay, this is what you see. Nothing happens when you click the button because we have not yet programmed it. Now let's see. When you change the text property of the form, you change the text that runs across the blue bar at the top. This one. The text in white. You can type anything you like here, but it should be something that describes what the form is all about or what it does. Often you will see the name of the software here, like Microsoft Word or Microsoft Visual Studio. Here, if you look at Notepad, now you can see in the text property of the form, this is there. Okay, likewise, you have to understand. We can now move on to some code though and then run the form to see what it all looks like. I have already shown this one. Okay, then we move to the next section, adding C# code to a button. Now we are going to program the button. In previous situation, when you click the button, nothing happened, but now we are going to program the button. What we want to do now is to display a message box whenever the button is clicked. So we need the coding window. What we want to do now is to display a message box whenever the button is clicked. Okay, that's what we are going to do. Okay, when button is clicked, a message box should be displayed. So we need the coding window to see code for the button. Double click the button you added to the form. When you do, the coding window will open and your cursor will be flashing inside the button code. It will look like this. Okay, now let's see. Now I double click on the button. Okay, now cursor is blinking inside two curly brackets. Okay, and whatever the code right here will be executed when I click the button. Okay, now here it's empty, that's why nothing happened when I click the button in previous situation. Okay, so here now you can see this is the name property of our button. Okay, now let's go. If you select the button and go to the properties, if you look at the name property, button 1, okay, that is the default name given to our button. Actually we could have changed this. Okay, let's keep it as it is for the time being. And now now the cursor, if you double click this, cursor is blinking. This is the name of our button, and underscore click means what to do when we click on the button. Okay, that's the rough idea. Actually this is a method. Okay, this is a method. Now you know method means something like function in C programming. So now this is void. Okay, return type is void in our method. This is the name of the method and this is the parameter list. Okay, now The only difference from the last time you show this screen is the addition of the code for the button, this code. This is just another method, a piece of code that does something. The name of the method is button underscore click. It's called button1 because that's currently the name of the button. When you change the text, location and size properties of the button, you could have also changed the name property, but property from button1, the default name, to something else. Okay, that's what I mentioned. The underscore click part after button1 is called an event. Okay, other events are mouse down, location change, text change, and lots more. You will learn more about events later. That means here actually underscore click means an event. That means what should happen when we click on the button. Clicking on the mouse button is an event. Okay, later we will investigate about the events deeply. Okay, after underscore click and in between a pair of round brackets we have this object sender event args e. Okay, these two are known as arguments. These two we call them as arguments. One argument is called sender and the other is called e again. Other is called e. Sender and e, two arguments. You will learn more about arguments later, so don't worry about them for now. Okay, anyway, you have learned this when you learn C programming. You have learned this. Notice that there is a pair of curly brackets for the button code. Okay, these two. If you want to write code for a button, it needs to go between the two curly brackets. We will add a single line of code in the next part below. Yes, now let's move to the next section. A C# message box. Now we try to learn. We are going to learn about message boxes. We want to display a message box with some text on it. This is quite easy to do in C#. Position your cursor between the two curly brackets. Then type a capital letter M. You will see the IntelliSense appear. Okay. Now type ESS after M. IntelliSense will jump down. The only option that is start with MESS are all message ones. The one we want is message box. You can either just type the rest or even easier to press down arrow or on your keyboard to move down to message box. Okay, so when you have message box selected, hit the enter key on your keyboard or double click the entry on the list. The code will be added for you. Okay, so that's what you should do. Then here we put ME message. Yes, now you will see the terms starting from message. Now you need message box, so you simply keep it there. You can either press the enter button or here I press the full stop mark. Okay, then you come to the next position. Now type full stop after the X of message box. The IntelliSense will appear again. Okay, there are only 3 items on the list now, and all methods you can tell they are methods because they have the purple cube icon next to them. Okay. So dot, now here we have purple cube, that means they are methods. Okay, in previous video I have told you how to identify a class. A different symbol is there if it is a class. Okay, that one I have already mentioned in the previous video. So now now there are 21 options. Okay, 21 options. Anyway, let's talk about that later. Because show is a method, we need some round brackets. The text for our message box will go between round brackets. So type a left round bracket just after W or show. As soon as you type the left round bracket after the W, you will see all the different ways that the show method can be used. There are 21 different ways in total. Fortunately, you don't have to hunt through them all. Type the following after the left round bracket. Don't forget the double quotation marks. So here you can put the message you want to display in the message box. My first message. Here red wavy line is there. If you get the mouse pointer, then you will see semicolon. Now you save your work. After the final double quote mark, type a right round bracket. Then finish off the line by typing a semicolon. Your coding window will then look like this. Okay, so you have seen this. The text in the dark reddish color is what will be displayed in your message box. Okay, this text. To try it out, save your work by clicking File from the menu bar at the top of Visual Studio. From the File menu, click Save All. So you can save all from here. Okay. You will then see the same save box you saw for the console application. Save the project. Okay, then here you can either go to File and click Save All. Run your program by clicking Debug, then start debugging, or start without debugging. Both are okay. Or just press F5 key on your keyboard. Your program will look like this. Click your button to see your message box. Okay, now let's see. We go to debug, start debugging. Now when you click this, a message box will appear. Now this is the text we have written, and by default it has an OK button, and in the title bar it's empty. Okay, those ones actually you have you can fill, and if you need, you can add several buttons to your message box. Those type of things we will discuss later. Okay, now it says, yeah, congratulations, it's your first message. In the next part we'll explore other things you can do with the message box. Then in the next part we discuss about message boxes. More about C# message box. If you look at the message box we created in the previous section, you will notice there is no title in the blue area to the left of the red X. It's blank. Okay, we could see it's empty. Okay, you can add the title quite easily. Click OK on your message box, then click red X on your program to exit it. That's what I have done. Now I have exit running the program. Okay, now we are in the development environment. So this will return to your Visual C#. Go back to the coding window. Press F7 on your keyboard if you can't see it. Position your cursor after the final double quote of my first message, circled in red in the image below. Okay, then now type a comma. As soon as you type a comma, you will see list of show options. Type the following. Again, you need double quotes, but your line of code should look like this. Okay, then if you move cursor here, put a comma, then double quotes, message. Okay, now this is what you will see in the title bar. This is what you will see as the text of your message box. This is what you see in the title bar of your message box. Okay, when your line of code looks like the one above, run your program again, click your button, and you should see a title on your message box. Okay, now let's see. We go to debug and start debugging. Now you can see this one in our title bar. Okay, and this text, this one. Okay, now we have OK button. Other button options, let's see. Rather than having just an OK button, you can add buttons like yes, no, and cancel to your C# message boxes. You will add the yes and a no button. Okay, now earlier we have seen only OK button. Now if you need, we can add any other buttons as well. Return to your coding window after the second double quote of the title you just added. Type another comma, hit the space bar on your keyboard once, and you will see the IntelliSense list appear. If it doesn't appear, just type a capital letter M. Now here I put this comma, then capital letter. There you can select this one, message box buttons. Okay, then put a full stop. Okay, the one that adds button to a message box is, you won't be surprised to hear message box buttons. Press the enter key on your keyboard when this option is highlighted. It will be added to your code. Now type full stop after the final S of message box buttons. You will see the button options. Okay, double click one for yes, no, and it will be added to your code. Now let's see. Here I again delete the full stop mark and put the full stop again. Then you see Yes, no. Let's select this one and then press enter. Okay, now save work. Run your program again and click your button. Your message box will then look like this. Okay, but when you click both of the buttons, what happens is actually the message box disappeared. Okay. If you need any other things, then you have to program these two buttons accordingly. If you want to do other things later, you will learn those things. Okay, then adding icons to a C# message box. Now let's see how can we add some graphical icons. Another thing you can add to brighten up your message box is an icon. It's easier to see what these are than to explain. Type another comma after message box buttons. Yes, dot, yes, no. After the comma, type a capital letter M again. From the IntelliSense list that appears, double click message box icon. After message box icon, type a full stop to see the available icons. We've gone for exclamation. Double click this to add it to your code. Run your program again to see what the icon looks like on your message box. Looks pretty impressive, hey? And all that with one line of code. We'll move on to the important subject of variable in the next part. First, try this exercise. Okay, then let's see. I put another comma, message box. Yes, message box icon. Then I put full stop. It will show us the available icons. There, let's select exclamation. Now here we can run from here as well. Okay, now you see the exclamation mark. Okay, now let's do this exercise. Try the other icons on the IntelliSense list and see what they look like. When your program runs, does the information icon differ from the asterisk? To quickly display the IntelliSense list again, delete the word asterisk from your code, then delete the full stop. Type the full stop again and IntelliSense will reappear. Okay, that's what means. Now exclamation instead of exclamation mark, then here let's say asterisk mark. Likewise another symbol you have got. Okay, let's say again full stop, then okay, different symbols you can get in that way. Okay, so that is the end of this section. Okay, Now next section is variables. Okay, now let's back to the contents. Now using two videos I have completely discussed this particular section. Okay, and now let's see our practical schedule. So in week 1 content, I have finished discussing this section completely. Then you have a homework before the next week. Okay, you have to self-study variables, conditional logic and loops sections. Let's see, from here you have to self-study variables section, since you already know the concepts in using C programming language. Now this is just doing it in C#. Okay, therefore it is not difficult, and I have discussed how to create a form and add controls. Okay, so in these parts string variables will be discussed, then concatenation, comments, C# comments, so you know C comments in C, and now addition, variables like float variables, integer, double, then operator precedence, multiplication, getting numbers from text boxes. This one is a little bit different, so you can self-learn. So small calculator program you can create. Okay, so you have to do this at home. So and then conditional logic you have already learned, if and if else, switch statements like things. So only thing is you have to do it in C#. Okay, then loops, do loops, while loops, for loops, those things you have learned, and those things you have already learned in C programming. So before you watch next video on add menus to your forms, you have to self-learn these 3 sections. So if you look at our plan, in next video I will discuss how to add menus to your forms. Okay, so and this is the end of the video, and thank you for watching.